I turned away after witnessing my childhood friend, drugged and burning with desire, drag the principal's daughter into the bathroom. In my past life, I had rushed in to stop his violent act, but that only put me in danger. By the time the police arrived, my school uniform was torn to shreds, photos of me disheveled in the bathroom went viral online. So much for being the cold, top student, she's just a SL*T who can't control herself. My reputation was ruined, and I was expelled from school. My childhood friend married me to save his own reputation, but our marriage was my true hell. I fell into severe depression and mental instability, losing 8 pregnancies in 10 years. People gossiped that I was promiscuous, that my body was worn out from being used by too many men. My parents, trying to make amends to my husband, poured all their efforts into supporting him. But the first thing he did after gaining full control of my family's company was to frame my father for financial crimes. My father died of a heart attack in prison. My mother, unable to bear such a huge blow, died in a car accident. When I heard the news, I was devastated beyond words. But my husband of 10 years appeared before me, arm in arm with a transfer student. UB*TCH, if you hadn't interfered back then, Lily and I would have been together long ago. She wouldn't have been forced by her parents to abort our child. I coughed up blood and died with my eyes wide open in disbelief. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my childhood friend was drugged. After school, there weren't many people left in the building. I took deep breaths of fresh air, trying to calm my emotions after being suddenly pulled back from the hatred and fear of my death. Lily was handing Zach a bottle of water. It contained an aphrodisiac that would inflame his desires. In my past life, I had accidentally discovered Lily pouring an unknown white powder into the water. I exposed her on the spot. But Zach didn't believe me. He insisted on drinking the water anyway. He even asked if I was jealous because Lily was prettier than me, and that's why I was always targeting her. This time, I didn't try to stop him. After taking the water, Zach instinctively looked at me. "You're not going to try to control even my drinking water, are you?" "Do whatever you want," I said with a wave of my hand. Lily couldn't miss any opportunity to attack me. She immediately chimed in. "Natalie, your possessiveness over Zach is too much. Doesn't he even have the freedom to make friends?" With those words, the few classmates who hadn't gone home yet gave me strange looks. Zach's face darkened even more. "She's nothing, just a bookworm," he muttered. I gripped my pen tightly, hatred surging in my eyes. "Are you two done?" "I haven't said anything from start to finish, have I?" I retorted. Zach was taken aback and fell silent, his face stony. Lily continued to stir up trouble. "You might not have said anything, but your face looks very unhappy. I just said a few words to Zach, and you're already scowling." Hearing this, Zach shot me an annoyed glare. As if to spite me, he drank the entire bottle of water. In my past life, I had knocked the bottle away, so he only took one sip, but even that one sip was enough to make him lose control. I couldn't imagine what would happen now that he had drunk the entire bottle. I found myself looking forward to it, in a twisted way. Seeing him finish the water, Lily could barely contain her excitement. She grabbed Zach's hand. "Zach, walk me home?" Of course, Zach wouldn't refuse. The two of them left the classroom hand in hand. 10 minutes later, Penny, our class monitor, burst into the classroom, her face flushed red. By then, I was the only one left in the room. Penny stammered, clearly struggling to say something difficult. "What's wrong? Did something happen to Zach and Lily?" I asked proactively. Penny grabbed my hand. Yes, it's them they. "What happened?" I asked, looking directly into Penny's eyes and pretending I knew nothing. I used to trust Penny implicitly. She wasn't just our class monitor, but had been my desk mate for all 3 years of high school. I thought we were best friends who could tell each other anything, but I never imagined she would stomp on me so hard after the incident. She told everyone that I had a crush on Zach and drugged him myself. She even started a live stream to denounce my actions. I was her desk mate for 3 years. I always knew she liked Zach. I just never thought she would actually do something like this. Natalie is a sex addict. She once called 10 male escorts in one night. I tried to advise her, but she wouldn't listen. She also had an unclear relationship with the old widower next door. This live stream pushed the whole incident to its climax. I was completely cast into the abyss, and the school persuaded me to drop out. Later, I ran into her by chance. By then, she had already climbed to a high position. "Thank you. If it weren't for your incident, I wouldn't have been able to take your spot for early admission to the top university and end up where I am now." As the memories flooded back, I stared hard at Penny. In my past life, she and I had discovered Zach dragging Lily into the bathroom together. I rushed in to stop him, while Penny said she would go call for help, but she just hid to the side to watch and record videos. Seeing that I wasn't in a hurry, Penny became flustered and incoherent. Zach dragged Lily into the men's bathroom. Lily kept crying. Zach is trying to assault Lily." But don't they like each other? How do you know Lily isn't willing? I asked. Hearing me say this, Penny was stunned. Everyone in our class knew that Zach and Lily were flirting, just short of making it official. Penny anxiously grabbed my wrist. But they're still students, they can't do this. Come on, let's go take a look, we can't just ignore this. The calculation in Penny's eyes was about to spill over. She just wanted to ruin me to get the early admission spot to the top university. I didn't say anything more and followed her downstairs. On the way, I secretly sent pre-written SOS messages to the principal and other school leaders, as well as contacting some influencers who were live streaming nearby. Lily was the principal's daughter, after all. In my past life, when persuading me to drop out, the principal had utterly humiliated me, saying I was damaged goods that had been ridden by thousands. This time, I wanted the principal to get a good look at the show her daughter was putting on. As we approached the bathroom, we could hear ambiguous sounds coming from inside. Zach, baby, more, I want more. Zach, you're so good. The woman's moans and the man's grunts were nonstop. Penny's eyes darted around. Natalie, you go in first to stop them, I'll go find someone to help. No, I can't go in, let's just wait here for the teachers, I said, shrinking my neck and pretending to be scared. Penny glared at me in annoyance, she forced down her temper and lowered her voice. If you don't go in now, they'll go all the way, do you really want to let Zach go to Lily? The bathroom's outer door wasn't fully closed. Through the crack, I could see Zach pressing Lily against the wall. Lily was half undressed, exposing herself. Zach was frantically tearing at Lily's uniform, biting all over her body. Lily pretended to struggle, but wasn't actually using any strength. Her coy resistance only made Zach more uncontrollable. I pressed my lips together tightly, pretending to be conflicted. Okay, you're right, I'll go in now. Just as I was about to push the door open, I turned back to Penny and said, hurry and find a teacher, I can't hold out for long. Penny nodded eagerly. She turned and ran, but after rounding a corner, she came back. She gleefully took out her phone, started recording, and wedged it into the door crack. Inside was chaotic, with lewd sounds coming out unabashedly. After doing this, Penny finally went to find teachers and security guards, feeling very pleased with herself. When a group of people rushed to the teaching building, the couple inside were still going at it vigorously. Penny covered her face and cried, blocking the principal. Teacher, I don't know why they're doing this. The principal's face was dark with anger, she didn't know her daughter Lily was inside. Penny hadn't clarified who exactly was in there. Penny wanted to ruin not just me, but Lily as well, after all, in her eyes, we were both her competitors. Today, Education Bureau officials happened to be visiting for an inspection. Now, a group of education officials were following the principal to catch people in the act, the scene couldn't be more dramatic. The principal was shaking with rage. With education officials watching, it seemed her chances for promotion were likely ruined. I guess the principal probably wanted to kill the adulterous couple inside right now. The principal tried to move forward. Penny blocked the principal again, crying and wailing. Principal, inside is. She pretended to be reluctant. The principal grabbed her shoulders, who is it? Penny acted like she had been frightened to tears, and said between sobs. It's Natalie. The principal naturally knew who I was, my grades were always top of the year, and I was the most promising candidate for early admission to the top university. The principal's eyes bulged with rage. That SL. She abruptly cut off the insult she was about to hurl. The education officials were still watching, so the principal couldn't speak too harshly at this moment. The people inside were still lost in their passion, completely unaware of the commotion outside. The lewd sounds coming from inside grew even more unbridled. Penny covered her chest and cried. Natalie, how could you be so foolish? Why can't you control yourself? Are you really that desperate for men? With those words, the education officials' expressions turned extremely unpleasant. They considered themselves respectable people and didn't want to barge in at a moment like this. A group of people with varying expressions waited downstairs, looking at each other awkwardly. Me? What about me? I finally emerged from my hiding place in the shadows. Why are you here? Penny cried out in shock. The principal eyed me suspiciously, it's not you? Then who's inside? I shrugged, I don't know, I didn't see clearly who it was. Since Penny deliberately concealed it, I naturally had no reason to expose it. At this moment, several influencers who had received my message barged in, ignoring the school security guards trying to stop them. Wow, the students at your school are so open, having sex in broad daylight. Yeah, principal, aren't you going to take us for a look? Principal, what are your thoughts on this? Chat with the viewers in our live stream. The principal's face turned ashen, she clenched her jaw and said nothing. Penny stared at me intently, finally losing it. She grabbed my hand. Didn't you go in? Then who went in just now? I was scared and didn't dare go in, I said, trying hard to squeeze out tears and acting like a coward. Penny was so angry she raised her hand to slap me. Just as her palm was about to hit my face, she stopped herself abruptly, glaring at me fiercely. The influencer's cameras zoomed in. Comments in the live stream were scrolling rapidly. 666, this is so exciting. You can tell how intense it is just from the sounds. Streamer, hurry up and go in to record, let us bros feast our eyes. The influencer chuckled, I wouldn't dare, if I went in, my stream would get banned immediately. I turned away from the camera and flashed a smile at Penny. She stared at me in shock, her eyes wide. You. What's wrong, class monitor? I asked innocently. An Education Bureau official's face had turned red, he pointed at the bathroom. Old Lynn, go talk some sense into your students. This incident could no longer be covered up. The principal was so angry her face was twitching. Good, 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 these students are really something. As the principal charged towards the bathroom, I ran over crying and grabbed her. Teacher, you'd better not go in. The principal shoved me away forcefully. Get lost. Why are you all trying to stop me? What are you up to? Everyone frowned as they looked at me. Penny had finally reacted by now. She hid in the crowd, staring at me unblinkingly. She must have thought of something, because she suddenly ran over. Natalie, stop interfering with them, I know you like Zach, but he deserves this, she said. She acted like she was looking out for me as she pulled me away, her voice full of pain. We're just students, we shouldn't get involved in the teacher's business. Seeing that I still wanted to block the way, the principal pushed me aside forcefully. I cried my heart out, wailing to the livestream cameras. But there are so many people here, if this gets out, what will happen to the people inside? I pretended to be very concerned about the people inside. On camera, of course I had to act like I cared about my classmates. This time, I was the only one occupying the moral high ground. Hearing this, the principal paused. The education officials also looked troubled. On camera, they couldn't just barge in to catch people in the act like this. If it caused the students involved to do something drastic, they couldn't bear that responsibility. So the group of people hesitated about 30 meters away from the bathroom in the teaching building. We weren't very close, but we could still clearly hear the sounds from inside. The influencers tried to get closer to film, but were blocked by the security guards. And so, the group waited outside like cats on hot bricks. It took a full 2 hours before the noises inside finally died down. The bathroom door opened. But to everyone's surprise, the satiated-looking man who walked out wasn't a student from our school. The man was burly and strong, with a scar on his face. Seeing so many eyes staring at him, he spat in disgust. What are you looking at? Keep staring and I'll gouge your eyeballs out. Seeing it was some thug, the principal visibly relaxed. As long as it wasn't students involved, it would be easier to handle. But then someone cried out in shock. Holy sh*T, inside. Holy sh*T, inside. The scream came from a young security guard, his face as white as a sheet, pointing tremblingly at the bathroom door behind the scarred man. Everyone's eyes snapped to the doorway, and a collective gasp escaped the crowd, so loud that even the scarred man, who had just spat on the ground, paused and turned to glance back, a lazy, mocking smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Lily stumbled out of the bathroom, her uniform completely shredded, the white blouse that had once been neatly buttoned was torn open at the front, hanging off one shoulder, and her plaid skirt was wrapped up around her waist, exposing her bare thighs marked with red bite marks and handprints. Her hair was a tangled mess, sticking to her sweat-glistened forehead and cheeks, and her makeup was smudged, black mascara streaked down her face, mixing with tears and something darker, making her look like a broken doll thrown away after being used. Her legs were weak, and she almost fell to the ground, catching herself on the doorframe with one hand while the other clutched at her chest, as if trying to cover the exposed skin that everyone was staring at. For a full 10 seconds, the entire corridor fell deathly silent. No one spoke, no one moved, even the influencers stopped talking, their cameras still rolling, capturing every detail of Lily's disheveled appearance and the principal's ashen face. The only sounds were Lily's ragged, whimpering breaths and the faint hum of the livestream cameras. The principal froze in place, her body swaying slightly as if she might collapse at any moment. Her eyes were fixed on Lily, wide with shock and disbelief, as if she couldn't recognize the daughter she had doted on since birth, the perfect, well-behaved principal's daughter who always wore a neat uniform and a polite smile. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. Her face, which had been flushed with anger just minutes earlier, turned pale as paper, and the blood seemed to have drained from her entire body. Lily, she finally managed to choke out, her voice hoarse and broken, barely audible, is that you? Lily looked up when she heard her mother's voice, her eyes glassy and unfocused, as if she was still under the influence of the aphrodisiac, or maybe just too ashamed and terrified to process what was happening. When her gaze landed on the principal, she let out a shrill, ear-piercing scream and collapsed to the floor, curling up into a ball, her hands covering her face as she sobbed uncontrollably. "Mom. Mom, help me. Please. I didn't mean to. It was him. He forced me. I swear he forced me," she wailed, her voice muffled by her hands, but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Zach. Where's Zach? He was supposed to be here. He was supposed to protect me." Zach. The name hung in the air like a bombshell. Everyone turned to look at each other, confusion written on their faces. Where was Zach? He had left the classroom hand in hand with Lily just over 2 hours ago, drinking the entire bottle of water laced with aphrodisiac. He was supposed to be the one inside the bathroom with her, not the scarred thug. Penny, who had been hiding in the crowd, paled instantly, her body shook, and she took a step back, almost tripping over her own feet. Her eyes darted between Lily, the scarred man, and me, panic flooding her features. She had planned everything. She had watched Lily drug Zach, watched them leave together, waited for them to get intimate, then called the teachers and security guards, even invited the influencers, without them knowing it was her, to capture the moment, all to frame me. She had thought Zach would be the one with Lily, that I would be the one to get dragged into the mess, and that she would be the innocent bystander who exposed everything, securing her spot for early admission to the top university. But none of this was going according to plan. Where was Zach? And who was this thug? I stood in the shadows, my hands clenched tightly at my sides, my face expressionless. On the surface, inside, a cold, bitter satisfaction was spreading through my veins, like ice melting slowly after a long, freezing winter. This was just the beginning. Penny, Lily, the principal, all of them who had destroyed my past life were going to pay, one by one. And Zach? Oh, he was in for something far worse than what Lily was going through right now. The scarred man let out a loud, mocking laugh, breaking the silence. He kicked at a piece of Lily's torn uniform that was lying on the floor, his eyes scanning the crowd with contempt. "Forced you?" he sneered, his voice rough and gravelly, like sandpaper scraping against wood. "Babe, you were begging for it 2 hours ago, crying and moaning for more, clinging to me like your life depended on it. Now you're saying I forced you?" Typical little rich girl, gets what she wants, then plays the victim when it goes wrong. "No. No, that's not true." Lily screamed, lifting her head from her hands, her eyes wild with terror and rage. "You're lying. I was with Zach. I was supposed to be with Zach. You're not him. You're not supposed to be here." "Zach?" The scarred man raised an eyebrow, looking amused. "Oh, you mean that scrawny kid who passed out in the hallway 10 minutes after he walked you here?" "Yeah, I saw him. He was lying on the floor, drooling like a baby, too high to even stand up. Pathetic little punk, couldn't even handle a little aphrodisiac. You think he could protect you?" "Please." The crowd erupted in murmurs. Scrawny kid? Passed out in the hallway? So Zach had never even made it into the bathroom with Lily. He had collapsed before he could do anything. Then how did the scarred man end up with her? The principal, who had been frozen in shock, finally snapped out of her daze. Her face turned from pale to bright red, then to a deep purple. Anger, shame, and humiliation all mixing together. She let out a roar of rage and charged towards the scarred man, her hands outstretched as if she was going to strangle him. "You bastard! You monster! What did you do to my daughter? I'll kill you! I'll have you arrested and thrown in jail for the rest of your life," she shrieked, her voice high-pitched and hysterical. The scarred man didn't even flinch. He stepped to the side casually, and the principal stumbled forward, almost falling to the ground. He grabbed her by the arm, his grip so tight that the principal let out a yelp of pain. "Kill me?" he laughed, leaning down so that his face was inches from the principal's. "Bitch, you don't have the balls. Besides, your daughter wanted it, and if you keep screaming like that, I'll tell everyone what really happened. How she laced that kid's water with aphrodisiac, how she dragged him towards the bathroom, how she was so desperate for sex that she didn't even care who it was when he passed out. You want that? You want everyone to know your perfect little princess is a slut who begs for strangers?" The principal's body went limp in his grip, her eyes rolled back in her head, and she looked like she was about to faint. The scarred man let go of her arm, and she collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably, just like Lily. The two of them, mother and daughter, curled up on the dirty corridor floor, crying their hearts out, while everyone around them watched, some with sympathy, some with disgust, some with pure curiosity. The Education Bureau officials stood off to the side, their faces twisted in embarrassment and anger. One of them, a middle-aged man with a stern expression, pulled out his phone and started making a call, probably to the police. Another whispered to the principal, his voice low and urgent, but she didn't seem to hear him. She was too busy crying over her ruined daughter and her ruined career. Penny was still hiding in the crowd, but now she was trembling so badly that she could barely stand. Her eyes were fixed on me, and I could see the fear and confusion in them. She was trying to figure out if this was my doing. She was right, of course, every single part of this was my doing, from letting Zach drink the water, to luring the scarred man to the school, to sending the messages to the influencers and the school leaders. I had planned every detail, and now it was all unfolding exactly as I had hoped. Let me go back a little, back to the 10 minutes after Zach and Lily left the classroom. I didn't just stand there and wait for Penny to come find me. As soon as they walked out the door, I pulled out my phone and made a call to a number I had memorized in my past life, a number for a man named Jax, a low-level gangster who owed my father a favor. My father had helped Jax get out of jail once, back when he was still running the family company, and Jax had sworn to repay him someday, in my past life. I had forgotten all about Jax, but when I was reborn, his name popped into my head immediately. He was the perfect person for this job, ruthless, unafraid of trouble, and desperate to repay his debt. Jax, I had said, my voice calm and steady, even though my hands were shaking with excitement. I need your help. It's Natalie, Mr. Carter's daughter. Remember me? There was a pause on the other end of the line, then a gruff voice. Natalie? Carter's kid? Yeah, I remember. What do you need? Your old man in trouble again? No, I said, it's about my school. There's a girl here, Lily, the principal's daughter. She's going to be in the men's bathroom on the 3rd floor of the teaching building in about 5 minutes. She's under the influence of aphrodisiac, and her little boyfriend is going to pass out before he can do anything. I need you to go there, do whatever she asks you to do, and when you're done, make sure everyone sees you leave with her. Don't hurt her too bad, just enough to make her remember it, and don't mention my name. If you do this, my father's debt to you is paid in full. Jax had laughed, a deep, menacing laugh. You got it, kid. I owe your old man one. I'll be there in 5 minutes, and don't worry, your secret's safe with me. That was it. Jax had arrived right on time, found Zach passed out in the hallway, just as I knew he would. Zach had always been weak, and a full bottle of aphrodisiac was more than he could handle, then gone into the bathroom to find Lily, and the rest, as they say, was history. Now, as I watched the chaos unfold, Lily and the principal crying on the floor, the education officials arguing, the influencers live streaming every second, Penny trembling in fear, I felt a cold, empty feeling in my chest. It was satisfaction, yes, but it was also something else, grief, maybe, for the life I had lost, for the parents I had failed to protect in my past life, but I pushed that grief aside. There was no time for sadness now. I had a lot more to do. Penny was still standing. The principal wasn't completely ruined yet, and Zach was still alive, and in my past life, he had been the one to destroy everything. He deserved the worst of all. Just then, the sound of police sirens echoed in the distance, growing louder and louder. The crowd parted as 2 police cars pulled up to the front of the school, and several police officers got out, rushing into the building. They headed straight for the 3rd floor, where the chaos was still ongoing. When they saw the scene, the scarred man, Lily's disheveled appearance, the principal and Lily crying on the floor, they immediately moved into action. Step back! Everyone stepped back, one of the police officers shouted, holding up his hand. What's going on here? The principal looked up, her face streaked with tears. She scrambled to her feet, rushing towards the officer. Officer! Arrest him! Arrest that man! He raped my daughter! He forced her! I beg you, arrest him! The scarred man raised his hands in surrender, but his smirk never left his face. Officer, don't listen to her. She's lying. Your daughter was begging for it. I have witnesses. Everyone here heard her moaning and crying for more. She's just a little rich girl who regrets it now. You're lying. You're a liar. Lily screamed, jumping to her feet and lunging at the scarred man. The police officers grabbed her before she could reach him, holding her back. Calm down, miss. We'll get to the bottom of this, one of the officers said, his voice gentle but firm. He turned to the scarred man. Sir, please come with us. We need to question you. The scarred man nodded, not resisting as the officers handcuffed him. As they led him away, he turned to look at me, his eyes meeting mine for a split second. He winked, then smiled, a silent thank you. I nodded back, my face still expressionless. Our deal was done. He had repaid his debt to my father, and I had gotten the first part of my revenge. The police officers then turned to Lily, asking her questions, what had happened, how she had ended up with the scarred man, where Zach was. Lily was still hysterical, unable to speak coherently, so the principal stepped in, trying to explain, but she was so upset that she kept getting her words mixed up. The education officials stood by, watching, their expressions growing more and more grim. It was clear that this incident was going to be a huge scandal for the school, a principal's daughter drugged and having sex with a gangster in the school bathroom, live-streamed for the entire city to see. The school's reputation was ruined, and the principal's career was over. Penny, who had been hiding in the crowd, finally worked up the courage to step forward. She wiped the tears from her face, tears of fear, not sympathy, and approached the police officers, her voice trembling. Officer, I can help, she said. I saw everything. I saw Lily drug Zach's water. I saw her drag him towards the bathroom. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. And then I saw that man go into the bathroom with her. I was scared, so I called the teachers and the security guards. I didn't know what else to do. She was lying, of course. She hadn't tried to stop Lily. She had encouraged her. She hadn't called the teachers out of fear. She had called them to frame me. But now, with everything going wrong, she was trying to paint herself as the innocent bystander, the brave girl who had tried to stop the chaos. She thought that if she told the police she had seen Lily drug Zach, she could distance herself from the incident and still get what she wanted. The early admission spot. After all, Lily was ruined. Now, and I was still clean, as far as everyone knew. If she could make herself look like a hero, she might still have a chance. But I wasn't going to let her get away with it, not this time. I stepped forward from the shadows, my voice calm and clear, cutting through the chaos. That's not true, I said. Everyone turned to look at me, including the police officers, the principal, Lily, and Penny. Penny's face paled, and she took a step back, her eyes wide with fear. Natalie, what are you talking about? Penny asked, her voice trembling. I'm telling the truth. I saw Lily drug Zach's water. You were there too, you saw it too. No, I said, shaking my head. I didn't see Lily drug Zach's water, but I did see you, Penny. I saw you talk to Lily before she gave Zach the water. I saw you hand her the white powder. I saw you tell her that if she drugged Zach and got him to have sex with her, you would help her cover it up. And I saw you hide in the hallway after they left, recording everything with your phone, waiting for the right moment to call the teachers and frame me for it. The crowd erupted in gasps. Penny's face turned white as a ghost, and she started shaking even more. No. No, that's not true. You're lying. You're just jealous of me. You're jealous because I'm the class monitor, because I have a chance at early admission, because Zach likes me more than he likes you. Jealous? I laughed, a cold, bitter laugh. Penny, I've never been jealous of you. I've never cared about being class monitor, or about early admission, though I do deserve it more than you, and I certainly don't care about Zach. The only thing I care about is the truth, and the truth is, you're a liar, you're a manipulative, selfish liar who would ruin anyone's life to get what you want. I pulled out my phone, holding it up for everyone to see. Lucky for me, I recorded our conversation, the one where you told Lily to drug Zach, the one where you planned to frame me. Do you want me to play it for everyone? Do you want the police officers to hear it? Do you want the entire city to hear how you manipulated Lily into ruining her own life, just so you could get a spot in a good university? Penny's knees gave out, and she collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. No. Please don't. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I didn't mean to. I just wanted the early admission spot so badly. My parents would be so proud of me. Please, Natalie, don't play it. I'll do anything. I'll drop out of school. I'll leave the city. Just don't play it. The police officers stepped forward, looking at me. Miss, do you have that recording? One of them asked. I nodded. Yes, officer, I have it right here. I recorded it because I was scared that Penny would frame me, scared that she would ruin my life. I never thought I would have to use it, but she left me no choice. I handed my phone to the officer, who took it and played the recording. The entire corridor fell silent again as Penny's voice filled the air, her voice sweet and innocent, but the words cold and manipulative. Lily, here's the powder, put it in Zach's water, he'll drink it, and he'll be so desperate for you that he'll do anything you want, and if anyone finds out, we'll blame Natalie. She's the cold, top student. No one will believe her if she says she didn't do it. Everyone will think she's jealous of you and Zach, and once Natalie is ruined, the early admission spot will be mine. We'll both get what we want. You get Zach, I get the spot. It's perfect. When the recording ended, there was no more doubt. Everyone looked at Penny with disgust and contempt. The education officials shook their heads. The principal glared at her, as if she blamed Penny for ruining her daughter, and the influencers zoomed their cameras in on Penny's tear-stained face, their voices filled with outrage. Wow, that's cold-blooded, one influencer said, using your friend to ruin someone else's life just for a university spot. Disgusting, another said, and she tried to frame Natalie too? What a monster. Penny curled up into a ball on the floor, covering her face as she sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. The police officer handed my phone back to me, then turned to Penny. Miss, please come with us. We need to question you about your role in this incident. You could be charged with conspiracy to commit sexual assault, as well as defamation for trying to frame Miss Carter here. Penny didn't resist as the officers helped her up and led her away. She looked back at me, her eyes filled with hatred and regret, but I didn't care. She had gotten what she deserved. In my past life, she had ruined my reputation, my education, my life. Now, she was going to face the consequences of her actions. She would probably be expelled from school, charged with a crime, and spend years in jail. And even if she didn't, her reputation would be ruined forever. No one would ever trust her again, just like no one had trusted me in my past life. With Penny and Jax both in police custody, the chaos started to die down. The education officials had a quick meeting, then approached the principal, their faces stern. Lynn, one of them said, using the principal's first name, this is a disaster, a complete and utter disaster. The school's reputation is ruined. We have no choice but to recommend that the school board fire you immediately, and we'll be launching a full investigation into the school's policies, how this could have happened on school grounds, how a gangster could have gotten into the building, how your daughter could have gotten her hands on aphrodisiac and used it on another student. The principal closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. I understand, she said, her voice hoarse and broken. I deserve it. I failed as a principal, and I failed as a mother. She turned to Lily, who was still being questioned by the police. Lily, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you. I'm so sorry I let this happen to you. Lily didn't look at her, she just stared at the floor, her face empty, as if she had lost all hope. She knew her life was ruined, she would be expelled from school, her reputation would be destroyed, and she would have to live with the shame of what had happened for the rest of her life, and it was all her own fault. She had been greedy, she had been selfish, she had wanted to control Zach, and now she was paying the price. The police finished questioning Lily and the principal, then left with Penny and Jack's in custody. The influencers packed up their cameras, their live stream still rolling as they talked about the scandal, speculating about what would happen next. The students and teachers who had gathered around slowly dispersed, whispering to each other, their faces filled with shock and gossip. Soon, only the principal, Lily, and I were left in the corridor. The principal looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of shame and gratitude. "Natalie," she said, her voice trembling, "I am so sorry, for everything, for how I treated you in the past, even though she didn't know it was the past life, for not believing you, for letting Penny frame you. You're a good girl, you didn't deserve any of this." I nodded, but didn't say anything. I didn't care about her apology. It was too little, too late. In my past life, she had humiliated me, called me a slut, forced me to drop out of school. She had ruined my education, my reputation, my life. Her apology now meant nothing. It couldn't bring back my parents. It couldn't undo the 8 pregnancies I had lost. It couldn't erase the years of depression and pain I had suffered. But I didn't say that. I just turned and walked away, leaving her and Lily alone in the empty corridor, crying over their ruined lives. As I walked down the stairs and out of the teaching building, the sun was setting, casting a warm orange glow over the school campus. The air was fresh, and for the first time in a long time, in both lives, I felt a sense of peace. Penny was in custody, Lily was ruined, the principal was fired, but there was still one person left, Zach, the man who had been my childhood friend, the man who had married me to save his own reputation, the man who had destroyed my family, the man who had killed my parents. He was still alive, and he was still out there, and I wasn't going to rest until he paid for what he had done. I walked to the hallway where Jax had said Zach was passed out. Sure enough, there he was, lying on the floor, his eyes closed, his mouth open, drooling like a baby. The aphrodisiac had clearly taken its toll on him. His face was flushed, and his body was twitching slightly, as if he was having a bad dream. I knelt down beside him, staring at his face. He looked so innocent, so harmless, just like he had when we were kids, playing together in the park, laughing and joking, but I knew better. Under that innocent exterior was a selfish, cruel, heartless man who would stop at nothing to get what he wanted. He had ruined my life once, and I wasn't going to let him do it again. I wasn't going to let him hurt anyone else. I reached into my bag and pulled out a small bottle of sleeping pills, something I had brought with me from home, just in case. I crushed 2 pills into a fine powder, then poured it into Zach's mouth, forcing him to swallow. He didn't resist. He was too out of it to even realize what was happening. The sleeping pills would keep him unconscious for a few hours, giving me enough time to take him somewhere where no one would find him, somewhere where I could make him pay for his crimes. I stood up, looking around to make sure no one was watching. The corridor was empty, everyone had left after the chaos. I grabbed Zach by the arms, dragging him down the stairs and out of the school building. He was taller than me, and heavier, so it was hard work, but I didn't care. I was fueled by hatred and revenge, and nothing was going to stop me. I dragged him to the back of the school, where there was an old, abandoned garage, something I had discovered in my past life, a place where no one ever went. I opened the garage door, dragged Zach inside, then closed the door behind me, locking it. The garage was dark and dusty, filled with old boxes and broken furniture. There was a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, flickering on and off. I turned on the light, then dragged Zach to the center of the room, throwing him onto the floor. I stood over him, staring down at him, my hands clenched tightly at my sides. For a long time, I just stood there, watching him sleep, memories of my past life flooding back. Memories of the bathroom incident, of the photos going viral, of the humiliation, of the depression, of the 8 pregnancies I had lost, of my parents' deaths. Every single one of those memories was a knife in my heart, and every single one of those knives was Zach's fault. "Do you know what you did to me?" I whispered, my voice trembling with anger and grief. "Do you know how much pain you caused me? Do you know how many times I wished I was dead? Do you know that I lost 8 babies because of you? 8 innocent lives, Zach. And my parents, my father died in prison because of you, my mother died in a car accident because she couldn't bear the pain. All because of you. All because you were selfish and cruel and couldn't take responsibility for your own actions." I knelt down beside him, slapping him across the face. He didn't wake up. I slapped him again, harder this time. Still, he didn't wake up. I grabbed him by the hair, pulling his head back, screaming at him, "Wake up. Wake up, you bastard. I want you to hear me. I want you to know what you did. I want you to suffer." Finally, Zach's eyes fluttered open. He looked confused and disoriented, his head throbbing from the aphrodisiac and the sleeping pills. He stared up at me, his eyes wide with fear. "Natalie? What's going on? Where am I? My head, it hurts so bad." "You're in hell," I said, my voice cold and steady, "or at least, it's going to feel like hell, for you." Zach struggled to sit up, but I pushed him back down, pinning him to the floor. "Natalie, let me go." "What are you doing? You're scaring me. Where's Lily? What happened to Lily?" "Lily? I laughed, a cold, bitter laugh. Lily is ruined, she's been raped by a gangster, her reputation is destroyed, her mother is fired, and she's going to be expelled from school, all because of you, all because you drank that water she gave you, all because you were too stupid to see that she was using you. Zach's eyes widened with shock. No. That's not true. Lily would never do that. She loves me. Loves you? I sneered. Lily doesn't love anyone but herself. She drugged you because she wanted to control you. She wanted to have sex with you so that you would be forced to stay with her, but you were too weak to even handle the aphrodisiac. You passed out, and a gangster took your place. Now everyone knows that the principal's perfect daughter is a slut who begs for strangers, and it's all your fault. Zach started to cry, his body shaking. No. I didn't mean to. I didn't know the water was drugged. I thought it was just regular water. Natalie, please, let me go. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. I promise. Make it up to me? I screamed, slapping him again. How are you going to make it up to me? How are you going to bring back my parents? How are you going to bring back my 8 babies? How are you going to erase the years of pain and humiliation I suffered? You can't. You'll never be able to make it up to me. The only thing you can do is suffer, just like I suffered. I stood up, walking over to a pile of old boxes in the corner of the garage. I opened one of the boxes, pulling out a rope, something I had brought with me, just in case. I walked back to Zach, who was still lying on the floor, crying and begging for mercy. Natalie, please don't. I'm your childhood friend. We grew up together. You can't do this to me, he sobbed. Childhood friend? I said, my voice cold. My childhood friend died a long time ago, the boy I grew up with, the boy who promised to protect me, the boy who made me laugh. He's gone. All that's left is a selfish, cruel, heartless monster who destroyed my life, and I'm going to kill that monster. I knelt down beside him, tying his hands behind his back with the rope. He struggled, but he was still weak from the aphrodisiac and the sleeping pills, so he couldn't resist. I tied his feet together too, making sure he couldn't move. Then I stood up, staring down at him, my face expressionless. What are you going to do to me? He asked, his voice trembling with fear. I'm going to make you pay, I said. I'm going to make you feel every bit of pain I felt. I'm going to make you beg for death, just like I begged for death. And then, when you're at your lowest, when you have no hope left, I'm going to kill you, slowly, painfully. Zach started to hyperventilate, his face turning blue. Natalie, you're crazy. You're insane. Please, someone help me. Anyone. No one is going to help you, I said. No one knows you're here, no one cares about you, just like no one cared about me when I was suffering, just like no one cared when my parents died. You're all alone, and you're going to die alone. I walked over to the door, turning off the light bulb. The garage was plunged into darkness, except for a small amount of light coming through the cracks in the door. I could hear Zach crying and begging, his voice echoing in the empty garage. I stood there for a moment, listening to him, feeling that cold, bitter satisfaction again, but this time, it was mixed with something else, relief that soon, all the pain and suffering would be over, relief that I would finally get justice for my parents, for my babies, for myself. But just as I was about to leave, I heard a noise, a faint tapping sound, coming from outside the garage door. I froze, my heart pounding. Who was that? Did someone find us? I walked over to the door, pressing my ear against it, listening. The tapping sound continued, and then I heard a voice, familiar voice. Natalie? Are you in there? I know you're in there. I saw you drag Zach here. Please, open the door, we need to talk. It was Jax. He had escaped from the police. How? I thought the police had handcuffed him and taken him away. How did he get here? Jax? I said, my voice trembling. How did you get here? I thought the police took you away. I escaped, he said. Those cops are idiots. I managed to get the handcuffs off and run. Listen, Natalie, I know what you're doing. I know you're going to kill Zach, but you can't do that. If you kill him, you'll be arrested, you'll go to jail, you'll ruin your own life. Is that what you want? Is that what your parents would want? My parents, their faces flashed in my mind, my father's kind smile, my mother's warm hug. Would they want me to kill Zach? Would they want me to ruin my own life for revenge? I hesitated. For a moment, I felt doubt creeping in. Maybe Jax was right. Maybe killing Zach wasn't the answer. Maybe it would only make things worse. Maybe I should let the police handle him. Maybe I should move on with my life, start over. But then I thought about the 8 babies I had lost, about my father dying in prison, about my mother dying in a car accident, about the years of depression and pain. I thought about how Zach had never apologized, how he had never taken responsibility for his actions, how he had destroyed everything I loved, and the doubt disappeared. I had to kill him, I had to get justice, for my parents, for my babies, for myself. Go away, Jax, I said, my voice firm. This is none of your business. I'm going to kill him, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Natalie, please, Jack said, his voice urgent, don't do this, you're better than this, your father was a good man, he would never want you to become a killer, please, open the door, let's talk about this, we can find another way, I promise. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. I thought about my father, how he had always taught me to be kind, to be forgiving, to do the right thing, but what was the right thing? Was the right thing to let Zach go free, to let him live his life while I suffered? Or was the right thing to kill him, to make him pay for his crimes? I didn't know, I was so confused, so much pain, so much hatred, it was clouding my judgment. I can't, Jax, I said, my voice trembling, I can't let him go, he ruined my life, he killed my parents, he killed my babies, I have to make him pay, I have to. There was a pause on the other end of the door, then Jack said, okay, I understand, but if you're going to do this, let me help you, I owe your father a debt, and I owe you one too, I can make it look like an accident, no one will ever know you were involved, you can walk away, start a new life, please, let me help you. I thought about it, if Jax helped me, I could kill Zach and get away with it, I could start a new life, leave all the pain and suffering behind, I could honor my parents' memory by living a happy life, not by becoming a killer, but was that possible? Could I really walk away from all this? Could I really forget the pain? I didn't know, but it was worth a try. I unlocked the garage door, opening it slightly, Jax was standing outside, his hands raised in surrender, he looked at me, his eyes filled with sympathy. Are you sure about this? He asked. I nodded, yes, but we have to make it look like an accident, no one can know I was involved. Jax nodded, I promise, let's go inside. I stepped aside, letting Jax into the garage, he walked over to Zach, who was still lying on the floor, crying and begging, Jax looked down at him, his face expressionless. You're a lucky man, Jax said to Zach, Natalie is a good girl, she's giving you a quick death, you don't deserve it, but she's too kind to make you suffer. Zach looked up at Jax, his eyes wide with fear, please, don't kill me. I'll give you money. I'll give you anything you want. Just let me go. Jax laughed, a deep, menacing laugh. Money? I don't want your money, I owe the Carter family a debt, and I'm going to repay it by killing you, for Natalie, for her parents, for her babies. Jax pulled out a knife from his pocket, a small, sharp knife, glinting in the faint light. He knelt down beside Zach, who started to struggle, screaming for help, but Jax didn't hesitate. He grabbed Zach by the hair, pulling his head back, and slit his throat. Blood gushed out, splattering on the floor, on Jax's hands, on my shoes. Zach's scream stopped abruptly, and his body went limp. His eyes stared up at the ceiling, empty and lifeless. I stood there, frozen in place, staring at Zach's body, staring at the blood. For a moment, I felt nothing, no sadness, no anger, no satisfaction, just emptiness. It was over, Zach was dead, the man who had destroyed my life was gone, but why didn't I feel better? Why did I still feel so much pain? Jack stood up, wiping the blood from his hands on his shirt. He looked at me, his eyes filled with sympathy. It's done, he said, now, we need to make it look like an accident, I'll take care of everything, you just leave, go home, act like nothing happened, no one will ever suspect you. I nodded, but I couldn't move, my feet felt like they were glued to the floor, I just stared at Zach's body, at the blood, and thought about my parents, about my babies, about all the pain I had suffered. Natalie, Jack said, putting his hand on my shoulder, you have to go, now, before someone finds us, you deserve to be happy, you deserve to start over, go, please. I finally found the strength to move. I turned and walked out of the garage, closing the door behind me. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see Zach's body anymore. I didn't want to see the blood. I just wanted to leave, to forget, to start over. I walked home, my mind blank. I didn't think about anything, about Zach, about Lily, about Penny, about my parents, about my babies. I just walked, one foot in front of the other, until I reached my house. I opened the door, walked inside, and collapsed on the couch. I sat there for hours, staring at the wall, feeling empty. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of my phone ringing. It was the police. They wanted to talk to me about Zach's death. I took a deep breath, composing myself. I knew what to say. I knew how to act. I told them that I hadn't seen Zach since the previous afternoon, that I had gone home after school and stayed there all night. I told them that I had no idea what had happened to him, that I was shocked and devastated by his death. The police believed me. They had no reason not to. Jax had done a good job of making it look like an accident. He had staged the garage to look like Zach had broken in, tried to steal something, and accidentally fallen, hitting his head on a pile of boxes and slitting his throat on a broken piece of metal. It was a convincing story, and the police bought it. Over the next few days, the news of Zach's death spread through the school and the city. Everyone was shocked. No one could believe that the popular, handsome Zach had died in such a tragic accident. Lily was devastated. She had lost the man she thought she loved, and she was still dealing with the shame of what had happened with Jax. The principal was fired, and the school was placed under investigation. Penny was charged with conspiracy to commit sexual assault and defamation. She was expelled from school and sentenced to 5 years in jail. Jax was never found. He had disappeared after killing Zach, leaving no trace. And me? I went back to school, acting like nothing had happened. I continued to get good grades, to be the cold, top student everyone knew, but on the inside, I was still broken. I still felt the pain of my past life, the grief of losing my parents and my babies. Killing Zach hadn't fixed anything, it hadn't erased the pain, it had just added more blood to my hands. Weeks passed, and things started to return to normal. The school hired a new principal, the investigation was closed, and people started to forget about the scandal. Lily transferred to a new school, far away from the city, trying to start over. Penny was in jail, paying for her crimes. Jax was still missing, and I was still there, going through the motions, pretending to be happy, pretending to be okay. But one day, everything changed. I was walking home from school when I saw a man standing on the corner of the street, a man who looked exactly like my father. I froze, my heart pounding. It couldn't be him. My father was dead. He had died in prison, but the man looked just like him, same height, same build, same smile. I walked closer, my hands shaking. The man turned to look at me, and our eyes met. It was him, it was my father. "Dad?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "Is that you? How are you alive?" My father smiled, walking towards me. He opened his arms, and I ran into them, crying uncontrollably. "Natalie, my baby girl," he said, his voice warm and familiar. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I left you. I'm so sorry I let you suffer." "What happened?" I sobbed, clinging to him. "I thought you died in prison. I thought you were gone forever." "I didn't die," my father said, stroking my hair. "Zach framed me, just like you said, but Jax helped me escape. He owed me a favor, remember? He broke me out of prison, helped me fake my death, and hid me away. I've been watching over you ever since. I've been watching you get your revenge, watching you try to heal. I'm so proud of you, Natalie, so proud of how strong you are." "Mom?" I asked, pulling back from him. "Is Mom alive too? Did Jax help her too?" My father's smile faded, and he shook his head. "I'm sorry, baby, your mother is gone. The car accident was real. She couldn't bear the pain of losing me, of seeing you suffer. She died thinking I was dead. I'm so sorry." I cried even harder, but this time, it was a different kind of cry, a cry of grief, but also a cry of relief. My father was alive, he was here, I wasn't alone anymore. "Why didn't you come to me sooner?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I was scared," my father said. "I was scared that if I came to you, Zach would find me. I was scared that I would put you in danger again. I wanted to make sure it was safe. I wanted to make sure Zach was gone, that Penny was gone, that you were safe. Now, it's safe. Now, we can be together again, we can start over." I nodded, smiling through my tears. For the first time in a long time, I felt hope. Hope that I could heal. Hope that I could be happy. Hope that I could leave the pain of my past life behind. My father was alive. I wasn't alone anymore. Killing Zach hadn't fixed anything, but having my father back, having someone who loved me, someone who cared about me, gave me the strength to keep going. My father took my hand, leading me down the street. "Come on," he said, "we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of time to make up for, and this time, I'm never going to leave you. I'm never going to let anyone hurt you again." As we walked, hand in hand, the sun was shining, and the air was fresh. I looked up at my father, his smile warm and familiar, and I felt a sense of peace. The pain was still there, the grief was still there, but it was no longer overwhelming. I had my father back, I had a second chance, and this time, I was going to make the most of it. I was going to live my life for myself, for my mother, for my babies, for my father. I was going to be happy, I was going to heal. But just as we turned the corner, I saw a car parked on the street, a black car, with tinted windows. The window rolled down, and I saw a man staring at me, a man with a scar on his face. It was Jax. He smiled at me, then drove away. I frowned, but my father squeezed my hand. "Don't worry about him," my father said. "He's just making sure we're safe. He owes us both a debt, and he'll keep us safe. Now, let's go home. I'll make you your favorite dinner, spaghetti and meatballs, just like old times." I smiled, nodding. Old times, I missed old times. I missed the days when my parents were alive, when I was happy, when I had no idea what pain was, but those days were gone. But now, I had a new chance, a chance to create new memories, new happiness, a chance to heal. We walked home, hand in hand, talking about everything, about my past life, about the revenge, about my mother, about the babies. My father listened, never judging, always comforting. He told me that it was okay to feel pain, okay to grieve, okay to make mistakes. He told me that I was strong, that I was brave, that I deserved to be happy. When we got home, my father made spaghetti and meatballs, just like old times. We sat at the dinner table, eating, talking, laughing. For a moment, it felt like nothing had ever happened, like my mother was still there, like my babies were still there, like Zach and Penny and Lily had never existed. It felt like home. After dinner, my father sat down beside me on the couch, putting his arm around me. "Natalie," he said, his voice serious, "I know you feel guilty about killing Zach. I know you feel like you're a monster, but you're